Hey trappers, Dale Billingsley here, Billingsley Brand Lures. So guys, I wanted to get out here kind of early this morning and shoot this video before it gets to dadgum hot. It's supposed to get up into the 90s and we had a little shot of rain here, just enough to raise the humidity. Wind's supposed to pick up and turn out of the southwest, so that's going to pump some more heat up in here. So kind of want to get out and get this done before it got too hot. Us fat kids and heat don't get along too well since we are now into the season of suck. I wanted to get it done kind of early. So what I want to talk to you about today is long chains versus short chains on predator traps. I personally myself am a long chain kind of guy. I like at least 5 feet on out to even 10 feet, even on a stake set. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit and do some explaining as to why I like that. Some of the biggest reasons are where I live here in southeast Iowa, we have a lot of bedrock. Okay, a lot of times if you can go 18 inches in the ground without hitting solid bedrock around here, you've done something. So what that long chain allows me to do is to stake the trap where I want to versus where I have to. Okay, does that make sense? If I'm on a short chain and the micro location is in this one spot and I can't get a stake down right there, I'm kind of out of the ball game. Okay, where if I can move that chain on out and get a stake in somewhere else and just leave the chain lay on top of the ground and bury the first 1.5 or maybe 2 foot of it right there at the set, now I'm okay. Now I'm in the game again. Also, what a long chain allows me to do is use and get by with a shorter stake sometimes. You can get by with a 14, 15, 16 inch stake sometimes. Or you can just put them on a disposable, which I highly recommend over the rebar. I've used a lot of rebar, don't get me wrong, rebar works fine. It's harder to pull that disposable than what it is to pull that rebar. But if you're on a long chain, if you're out there, say 10 feet, he's got no leverage, okay, out that far. Now granted, when he hits the end of that chain, yes, he's got a lot of momentum, he's got a lot of force behind him. But also by dragging 10 feet of heavy chain on a heavy trap, by the time he gets to the end of it, he's starting to run out of steam pretty good. So that's why I'm such a big advocate of a long chain. And not only that, but it gets me away from that same 5 or 6 foot around catch circle that everybody else has got. Not saying that there's a whole bunch of trappers out here right now, but back in the day when there was a lot of trappers and a lot of competition, it got me away from that same 5-6 foot catch circle that everybody else had around. And not only that, but as I explained in a couple videos back of having trouble getting a coyote to come back inside the catch circle after I've caught one, now when I've got a 20-foot catch circle out there, he's back inside the circle before he realizes he's inside of it. Basically, you don't even have a circle. What you have is some fluffed up dirt and some fluffed up grass, and that's about it. You don't have that burn circle like you do on a short chain because they just don't fight it as bad. It allows your animal to have some freedom and some movement, and it gives them room to recreate a little bit. So if you're working in a state like on a 3-day check, you can hold that animal a lot more comfortably in an offset jaw, strong trap, center swiveled, laminated, on 10 feet of chain. You can hold that animal a lot more comfortably than what you can staked up short and solid. So now we're talking about fur work here. We're not talking about live market. Live market trapping is a completely different ball of wax, and we're not going to get into that, okay? That's a whole different ball game. I haven't trapped for the live market in years, but when I did, it was a whole different set of traps, a whole different mindset. So we're gonna concentrate today in this video on the fur trapping end of it. That's just where we're at. So I prefer the long chains, even on a stake set. On a drag, I want at least 10 feet of chain. It allows that coyote to get up and get moving. It allows that bobcat to get up and get moving. Now, a word of caution on a bobcat, once in a while, they'll go up a tree on you. So you got to be looking. I've never, not saying that it won't happen, but I've never had a coon go up a tree. Usually they worry a drag across the ground, kind of like fox. They don't just get up and go with it. They worry it out across the ground, and it stays down low, and they'll hang up in the brush pretty quick for you. Fox are the same way. They don't just get up and get gone like a cat or like a coyote. And if you're running drags, guys, I'm telling you, and I know not everybody can do it, and I understand that, but get yourself a good dog. They will save you so much time and so much headache, and it's just unbelievable. Timber will have that trail picked up and have that animal found a lot of times before I can ever get the stuff out of the bed to the truck to remake the set. Now, the little Jack Russell I had years ago before her and before Midget was even better yet. That little dog, Reno I called him, he was a little male Jack Russell, one of the short-legged barrel-chested type. And that little bastard absolutely loved hunting a drag. That was his forte. That was his cup of tea. Timber's picking it up. She's not quite got it yet, but she is coming on. She's only 2, and she's not been exposed a whole lot. I don't have the ground to be able to trap a bunch of coyotes anymore, and the market's not there anyway. So, but all I'm saying is, if you can do it, get yourself a good dog if you're running a bunch of drags. It's going to save you a lot of headache later on. So let's kind of get off into this just a little bit. So the way I set up my my long chains on these traps, you'll find out that once you start running long chains, the more swivels you have, the better off you're going to be. Especially if you're working like in the sandy type soil, like out in the sand hills in Nebraska. You know, you get a lot of mounding up around the chain in that type of ground, that type of situation. So the more swivels you have, and by everything rolling and keep moving just right, sometimes those nice 2 and 3 toe catches that you make will still be there for you, where you've got everything moving like it should, versus if you've got him all bound up, you know, he might take a chance of popping out on you. So I run just a standard in-box swivel, and then I run one of these. That way, if I have to cross peg, and you'll figure this out, especially some of y'all that live down at Trap in the south in the Delta in that buckshot ground, you know, if you've got a little moisture on that ground, you can just stomp that stake in, and you can just go along and lift it right back out. So a pair of 18-inch stakes, or even a pair of 24s, doesn't hurt a thing. And the way you do that, if you're running rebar, now, like I said, I would suggest you switch over to some type of disposable if you can. But I understand if you don't want to, you've got a lot of rebar stakes, that's fine, I understand that. But you would run one stake through this way, and then you would run the other one through that way, and it's cross staked that way, and they're not going to pull a pair of 18s, especially on a long chain. You know, this is hard to get this all on the camera, but we're on 10 feet of chain here. We've got three swivel points. 4 wouldn't hurt it. It probably should put another one in there. But anyway, yeah, get yourself, you know, set up good on your long chains. Now, when I'm talking long, I'm talking, like I said, 5 to 10 feet. This old number 3 double long spring is swiveled here off the end of the spring, and it's only on 18 feet of chain. Okay, 3 foot of chain is just as dangerous as 18 inches, all right? Because of the fact that he can jump straight up at 3 feet, and he's got enough momentum under him to get straight up, and if you're running rebar, he'll jack it right out of the ground on you. What'll happen, the stake will get raised up, and then when he comes back down, that box swivel, that end swivel, will fall down that stake. then it kind of catches and hooks it, and when he jumps again, it'll raise it up again. He'll fall down, the swivel will fall down, catch on the side of that rebar again, and when he jumps again, it comes up even farther, and it ain't long and he's got your stake jacked up out of the ground. A word of something I need to express here a little bit. I have never lost a trap because I overstaked it. You know, if you need to put down 2 feet of stake, put down 2 feet. If you need 3 foot, put it down. 4 feet, put it down. I've never lost one because I overstaked it. I'll put it that way. So, you know, 18 inches is, you know, if you're going to run 18 inches of chain or 3 feet or 4 feet, I suggest you either cross peg them or put down a good disposable earth anchor. They're not going to pull that. You know, I've used a couple of them at different times to winch my truck out, you know, four-wheeler, side-by-side, something like that. They're not going to pull it as near as easy as what they will a rebar. You know, and then the other thing is, you know, switching over to the chain stakes. This one's kind of bent up. I need to replace that pogo stake. But yeah, what you do is just, you know, you bury up to that swivel in the ground there, and you've got, you know, a foot of chain with your disposable down in the ground. You've got, you know, 16, 18 inches of chain up here out of the ground. And that works fine. You know, some places you can get away with that and do that, and it works fine. Again, though, you've got that catch circle, and you know, those kind of things that I mentioned earlier that you have to contend with. But if you don't want to invest in long chains and you find out that you don't like it, then that's, you know, this is another way you can go. Another way to go is with just the disposable earth anchor. This happens to be one of the heavy duty Berkshires on the standard, I don't know what, 10, 11 inches of chain that come with them out of the factory right off the trap. Been a pile of fur caught this way, you know, and held just fine. But again, you get into some of the issues I talked about before with the catch circle and that kind of stuff. Another reason I like the long chain is it saves my set. It saves the integrity of my set. Okay, they don't burn it up, they don't blow it up. Same way with a drag. Lets that animal get up and get gone. Get him off somewhere else. Get him tangled up. He's saved your set. All you have to do is dispatch the animal, take the trap off of him, bring the trap back, pop it back in the bed, and you're back going again. Now, I've noticed some of y'all in the comments have left me about, you know, burying all that chain. Yes, you've got to dig a bigger bed. You've got to dig a deeper bed to get that chain buried. It takes more wax dirt, more peat moss, more coal shale, whatever it is you're using as a covering. It takes more of it. I understand that. I do it. There's no reason you can't do it either, if you choose to bury it. But in my opinion, and in my experience, there's no reason to bury all that chain if you don't have to. Just stake him off over there somewhere, or throw that drag back in the brush a little bit, or hook it up in a tree right there that's close. Guys, they've pissed on every steel post and every piece of farm machinery, everything that's buried in the ground between here and Des Moines. They don't pay no attention to that chain, not a lick. Until he shows you that he's carrying 5 more marbles than the average bear, he's just a dumb animal. Don't worry about it. Don't pay no attention to it. Don't let him psych you out. They are not the cunning predator that everybody makes them out to be. They are just a dumb animal. They are just a canine. Treat them as such until they show you different. When they show you different and it's during the fur season, don't mess with him. You've got easier ones to catch somewhere else. Pull that trap. Sorry about that, guys. I had to get on timber. She's getting up close to the road. She's chasing the dadgum mouse up there in the grass. Or I hope that's all it is. I hope it ain't a snake, but whatever. Anyway, forgot where I was going. Oh, so stop and just use your best judgment on this. And don't, like I said, if you've got easier ones to catch, go somewhere else. Don't play around with that smart one. He's costing you time and money. Now, I understand if it's on a have-to situation where you absolutely have to catch him. Other than that, don't worry about him. Leave him there for seed and go on. You're out there trying to make money at it. You don't have time to fool around with that one smart one. You've got others to go catch that are much easier. So guys, I'm going to kind of end this video here. I hope this has been a help to some of you. I sure appreciate you tuning in to watch. I really do. If you would, please, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button for me. It means so much to me. And leave me a comment down below, guys. I'm one of the few. I answer every comment that somebody leaves me. You took time to watch this video. The least I can do is take time to answer that comment back. Once again, this is Dale Billingsley with another one. Signing out.